Jessica.
Hi.
Let's go with having a little intro about you.
Yeah. So I'm Jess. I'm an actor and a screenwriter, and I'm also a business coach. And I've been, I suppose, in the entertainment industry for about a decade. I've written a sitcom, which I'm in the process of trying to get produced. And I've been coaching basically on the side for about 6 years. I started coaching in purely mindset. I did a lot of mindset work myself as an actor. You know, it's one of those industries that you got to be strong with that. And I went through a difficult period, like everybody does at some point in their life. And so I did a lot of healing work, and then I went into sort of coaching, mindset coaching. A lot of other artists, creators, influencers kind of thing. And that sort of got me into the social media world. And then from there, I sort of transitioned more into helping people grow their businesses, specifically online, and grow their presence online. And that's really how I fell into more of the personal branding side of things, and got myself on LinkedIn coming up to a year ago now, and went viral on LinkedIn pretty much immediately, and now I have quite a big community over there, and I help people build their personal brands, coaching in their business and their mindset, and so that's a bit about me.
The personal branding thing is really hot right now, isn't it? Like, yes. People are talking about it, but I think there's for me personally, I think there's a huge misconception around what a personal brand is. What does it mean to you, actor, business coach, mindset coach?
Well, it's building a presence up of yourself, and we live in a digital age now, so it's one of those things that if you want to grow in attention, it's basically that. It's grabbing people's attentions, and I think there's a lot of people that are scared about growing brands, personal brands, because there's either people that are more introverted or just aren't used to showing up online, or there's a lot of people that are scared about what other people will think. But it's become a marketing tool today, one of the most prominent marketing tools today to really grow your business and call in more leads, call in more clients. And it really is just showing up and having the confidence to do that. And there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of strategy behind it, but it's showing up as you and not just your business. And that's, as I say, scary for a lot of people, because it's about being authentic, and in a world where, if you're running a business, that you've got to be able to sell your business. And I suppose today, now it's not just about doing that, but it's about selling yourself. And that's where really the acting crosses over, because I've always had to do that as an actor.
It's such a good point, and it's something that I believe in, hence why I wanted you on this show, actually, because a big part of sort of my belief system is around this idea of performance and the crossover between business and performance, and why performance is fully integrated actually into how you show up. And something I think about is like a visibility wall, this psychological barrier that people have with visibility. Like, what are your thoughts around fear and how people can overcome that sort of visibility wall?
Yeah, I think the main reason people are scared of showing up is because they're scared. It's not even that they're scared. They think it's because they're scared of what other people will think, but really it's that you're scared that you're going to make a mistake very publicly. And we live also in a world of cancel culture, and celebrities being cancelled all over the place for saying the wrong thing, and there's a lot of unsteady politics at the moment, and so people are scared of saying the wrong thing or making a mistake. And that's why really a lot of the importance I put on my mentorship is actually just understanding yourself first as a human being, and essentially falling in love with who you are, and having that confidence, building that confidence up in yourself. Because if you don't lay that foundation for yourself, you're constantly going to be worried about saying the wrong thing, or doing the wrong thing, or coming across in the wrong way. But if you know to your core who you are, what your values are, what your purpose is in life, what legacy really you want to leave behind in a, it sounds more dramatic than it is, just how you want to be known, If you know all of those things about yourself, the showing up part becomes a lot easier. But I think a lot of people are sort of jumping into it today going, oh gosh, I've got to have a presence now as a founder, because that's what people are telling me to do. But, if you jump into it without that sort of clarity, you're going to find it harder to be visible and to show up. And also, I talk a lot about energy, because it's like anything, if you have a good energy as a person, people are going to want to be around you. And that's the exact same with your brand. If your brand has a good energy, if you're showing up in a way that people want to be around, then you're going to grow in visibility a lot faster. And that's all to do with the belief system you have, I guess, about yourself. So yeah, so I'd say that's probably the fastest way you're going to grow in visibility is really working on you as a person.
It's that authenticity, isn't it? Like, that seems to be, again, a word that's heavily tied to personal brand. And again, I have some strong sort of views on authenticity with regards to, authenticity and authentic performance. The idea that authenticity can still be there, but you get to choose ultimately which parts of you show, right?
Totally. That, it's such a good point, because don't get me wrong, I have my days when I'm going to be honest, I have my days when I'm crying on my kitchen floor because I've just had a really terrible day.
I don't believe it for a second.
It happens to the best of us, right? I have mini breakdowns. I'm not going to record myself having a mini breakdown and put that on my LinkedIn. That's not the brand I'm building. I'm building a brand that is, professional and positive. It doesn't mean that I'm not being a human being or being authentic, because I think this can be this sort of toxic positivity culture with it all. It doesn't mean that I'm not being authentic. It just means that I'm doing the work to show up in a certain way with a certain energy every single day so that I can put my best foot forward and create the best legacy for me. So yeah, when this word authenticity is thrown around, it just really means doing the work on yourself, like falling in love with yourself. It doesn't. It's not that you have to show up and share every single secret of your life. There is a strategy behind it. There is, and again, it's selling yourself. That's what it is. And you, like I said, you can't sell yourself if you don't have like a good energy, because who wants to be around someone that is negative all the time? Do you know what I mean? So
totally.
It's just a lot of that, and
I resonate so much with a lot of what you're saying there. Actually, it's you're not going to show all the negative parts of you. Sometimes it can work in your favor, and you see it a lot actually with people showing their negativity and the real emotions that go through
absolutely.
every day. You see all of that, and especially with a platform like LinkedIn and TikTok specifically as well, which I know you've just started a TikTok pretty much.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But showing those authentic feelings, fear, anger, sadness, they're all real, but you ultimately get to decide when you show that, right? Totally.
And that's the thing, because we're the audience of people watching this podcast. You're all entrepreneurs, probably successful entrepreneurs. And, it's the biggest thing I see in my clients. That's the biggest fear, is just that, oh gosh, but I don't want to share my whole life story. I don't want to share everything online. That I'm not a person that does that. I don't like being in the limelight, and then I get people on calls with me going, but you're an actor, so you get it, and I don't. But it's not about that, right? It's a strategy. It's a marketing strategy. And it doesn't mean you're being fake. It means that you're choosing, as we just said, to put your best foot forward, to show up as the version of you that you want to be ultimately, because it's like, and this is, I'm a big believer in embodiment in itself. Like, I will walk around this earth, and this rubs people up the wrong way when I say it. I will walk around in a level of confidence and an energy that I'm already famous. Like I'm already there because yes, obviously I'm not in Hollywood on a big movie right now, but like,
who cares?
If you don't walk around and have that level of confidence in yourself, nobody else is going to feel that way about you. So as an entrepreneur, bringing it back to business owners, you know, if you want to call in more leads for your business or sign more clients or sell more of those sell that product that you're selling, people have to believe in it. And the only way they're going to believe in it is if you believe in it. So that's all it is. It's showing up as a successful entrepreneur, not faking it, but actually believing it yourself. And that makes the action of showing up so much easier when you do fully believe in it, because you don't second guess yourself, you don't question yourself, you don't question what you're posting. So yeah, it's not about being fake. It's about being yourself, but the best version of yourself, and choosing who that is.
It's like that saying, isn't it? Like the psychological thing. It's like if you believe you are or you aren't or you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Either way, you're right, because you've already decided that you can or can't do that.
Some people call it manifestation. Some people call it just a strong set of beliefs. Whatever you want to call it, you've just got to lay that foundation for yourself before you do any of this. Before, you know, and I could say this about anything. Like, it's not just about building a personal brand. It's about anything in life, anything that you want, whether it's a strong relationship, whether it's, you know, call it like calling more money into your life, whatever it is. If you don't believe that you can have it, or even that you deserve it, you'll never get it. So yeah, in terms of taking it back to personal branding, if you don't believe that you're a person worthy of being seen, if you don't believe that you're a person that has anything useful to say, if you just don't have strong sets of beliefs around visibility in itself, you know, because I did a masterclass on this, you know, the word fame scares a lot of people. Like I said, it rubs people up the wrong way when you say, oh, I would like to be famous, or I think I'm famous. Like, it rubs people up the wrong way. But the thing is, if you don't actually fall in love with the definition of fame, which is literally just being known by masses of people, if you don't fall in love with that idea, you will never get it. And what I see today is people jumping on LinkedIn, trying to grow a personal brand, saying that they want to grow on there, and then turning around to me and saying, oh God, but no, I wouldn't want to be famous. So you can't get the thing that you want the most. So yeah, you have to, you've got to do that work to actually fall in love with the idea of visibility first. A
mentor of mine, he was a mentor in our business for a number of years, and he said, you know, you want to be famous, but famous for a few, you know, it's for the people who matter to your business.
Totally.
You know, it's about attraction at the end of the day. You want to be attracting, you know, and he uses the example of like George Clooney, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Why do people go and watch those movies? Because they're attracted to that personal brand. Why they paid the millions of dollars per film? Because they have that personal brand and people go to watch them. What I'm really interested in as well is like you've coached over 200 entrepreneurs now. What are the key lessons that you're seeing in terms of business growth, business success? What, from your performance background and your acting background, what are you seeing in terms of like the key trends that people, you know, take on from your advice to help them then go on and succeed? What are those lessons?
Well, the first one would be your mindset, and a lot of the things we've just said there. Also the social media strategy. And like, I wouldn't call myself a social media guru or anything like that, because I think that also a lot of people get mixed up between a personal brand and just a social media presence. Like, a personal brand is very holistic. So this is why, you know, I place the importance on mindset, but having that ability to understand social media platforms and understand how best to grab people's attention is really important. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to be inauthentic about it. You get to pick a platform that you feel comfortable on and that is the best for your business. You know, LinkedIn is very popular right now because it is full of very high caliber entrepreneurs and, investors and things like that. But, for example, I'm on TikTok and I'm learning that platform because that works for me as an artist. So your social media game as well is very, very important. But then looking at things in a holistic sense, because what I work with my clients on isn't just building up a social media presence, but it's building up an offline presence too, because it's all a brand, so getting yourself at public speaking events and on panel talks and things like that all helps you become visible and to, again, the right audience of people. So yeah, I would say mindset, social media, and thinking about your offline presence as well are all kind of the things that we're talking about in our sessions.
Let's talk about TikTok for a second then, because you only started your TikTok, a couple of months ago now? How many followers are you on now?
Nearly 17,000.
That's so impressive in 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, people spend years on these platforms trying to get that kind of following. What do you think it was about you or your personality or your energy that allowed you to get to that sort of following? And you're only 2 months in, so it's clearly going to grow. But what do you think it is about you on that platform that's making it successful?
I think the main thing is I'm taking people on a journey with me. And that's the main principle really of a personal brand, is that it's going, you could have achieved a lot in your life, but it's not just talking about what you've achieved. It's about talking about what you're wanting to achieve and how to get there, and taking people on, telling the story, but then taking people on the journey with you. And so, for example, I've got a series out on TikTok that literally is just, these series like day 1, day 2, day 3, showing up every single day. And the series is just day 1 of ripping my life apart and starting again as an actor in my 30s. Because as we were talking just before we went live, I've been in the industry for a decade, but over the last couple of years, things did drop off a bit for me, unconsciously or not. And I sort of looked at my life recently and I went, oh, actually, this is my purpose. Like, acting is my purpose and my passion. And whilst I have built up successful businesses, it's not really where I want to channel all of my energy, which is why I started TikTok. So I started telling this story about how actually I'm ripping it all apart. I've got these successful things I've done, but it's not what I want to do. So let's try going for it again. And I think people resonated with that because I'm not there yet. I don't know quite where there is at the moment. As an actor, it's you don't.
It changes, doesn't it? Destination changes.
It does. But I'm not there yet. But I guess again, it's that level of confidence to be able to talk about where I want to be, and not feel like a failure for not being there yet. Because I think as well with a lot of high achieving entrepreneurs, you can think that, if you show up and you say, I'm not making X amount of money a month, then I'm not a good enough entrepreneur. So I don't want anybody to know that. But there's the majority of people that are feeling that exact way. And the fact that you've shared it, that's what resonates. And so that's what I've been doing on TikTok. And I've been building up a really fantastic network of not just other actors, but there's all kinds of people. And this is the other thing about growing a brand. You don't know who's watching. So I'm gaining this audience of people, but there's producers, there's directors, there's people that are popping into my inbox now after years of kind of not doing a lot, just with things drifting for me, to getting people directly inboxing me, messaging me saying, I want you to read for my short film that I'm producing in Hollywood.
Amazing.
Directly to my inbox, which would never have happened if I hadn't have just been vulnerable enough to show up and share the journey that I'm on. So I think that's what it is. And so actually just swinging back round to like the first bit of our conversation, because I don't want that conversation to sound like we were, talking about not showing every bit of your emotion. I still am very vulnerable with how I show up online, but I'm vulnerable in still a strategic way, because I'm not going to bear my whole soul in the sense of, you know, that's what my family is there for and my close friends are there for. But I can share a lot of it. You know, I can share enough of it that is going to connect with people. So you don't have to give all of your energy away, but you can give a lot of it to the point where people go, oh yeah, I resonate with that. I understand what she's saying. She's in the place where I'm at. I want to watch her journey. And I've literally got people now, because I'm talking about the sitcom, talking about how I want to get that produced. I've got people now, just strangers DMing me saying, how do we help you get this on TV? How can we help?
Amazing.
And, you know, and again, the building that sort of audience up for yourself of your people, the right people for you, is so important. And so flipping it back to entrepreneurship, that's the sort of thing, exactly the sort of thing you can do for your business, where you actually get people commenting and DMing you saying, how can I help you grow your business? How can we watch you succeed? We want to see you succeed. There are so many people out there that want to see you succeed.
It's a really scary world for a lot of people, because the negatives do definitely sort of, even though they're few and far between for a lot of people, they outweigh the positives of being visible. What would your advice be for someone, let's say someone's just wanting to get started, you know, they've spent, you know, their years in business, they've got to a level, maybe a bit of a plateau. They know they need to be a bit more visible. You're working with this person like from the ground up. What's your advice to them? Like, are there some easy, actionable steps that they can take before they even flip the camera on? Or
okay, the first thing I would say is you don't need to, you get to.
Oh, I love that.
So I get all my clients, I pick up on it for all of my clients and all of my friends and family, actually. Whenever I hear anybody say, I need to do this in like a really stressed energy, I'm like, you don't, you get to. You genuinely get to. And it putting that energy on it is making it exciting. Because I think the thing is, and this any other marketing strategy or any other strategy in your business in general, if you're not excited by it, you're not going to get good results. So it's actually about, again, I use this phrase a lot, but it's about falling in love with actually doing it in the first place and going, do you know what, I want to. And that ultimately helps you then, it helps your clarity on what you want to do with it. So yeah, I'd probably say that's the first thing. What was the question again? I feel like I rambled.
If there's some actionable steps that, you know, someone's working from the ground up, like what can they be doing, you know? And I love that first bit of advice, actually, because a lot of the business owners we speak to at our agency as well is, you know, I need to be on TikTok, or I need to be on LinkedIn, or I need to be doing Google ads, whatever. It's like, well, just back off a second, back up, let's assess the situation. Who are you trying to speak to? Who do you want in your business? Like, who are your customers? And we always have, we have this thing in the Growth Guys, which is it's product channel fit, it's audience channel fit. You need to be looking at that before you do anything. So, you know, I think that's an amazing first bit of advice. You know, you get to do that. Yeah. What would the next one be?
I've got a little step process, but it's with all of my work, it's very hard to say, oh, here's a quick tip, because really with growing a personal brand or a business in general, it takes years of inner work. But my sort of 4-step strategy, I guess, in a way, just as like a step process to give people. The first step is decide it. So decide what you want, essentially. We sort of covered that, you know, decide how you want to be known. Decide what you actually want. Like, what do you want from your business, really? Like, do you want to be calling in 8 figures a year? If you do, cool. Let's go and make it happen. But decide it first. And I think what I see a lot in my clients and just other people in general is that a lot of the time you never actually decide you want something big because you believe from the get-go that you can never have it. So, you know, as an actor, there's a lot of actors that just believe, oh, I'll never get to Hollywood, so what's the point, right? And so you never dream big. And so the first one is deciding to dream big, deciding to if you want to be known by masses of people, how many people do you want to be known by? Where do you want to be? What stages do you want to be speaking on? How many clients do you want in your business? Like, just get really clear. And then the second step is normalize it. So, as I was saying before with your belief system, make it normal. Make it normal to be seen by masses of people, right? How do you do that? You actually start to build in habits where, you know, you're starting by showing up very small. Maybe you're posting a few posts on LinkedIn. Maybe you do a live. Maybe you try these things. Or maybe it's as simple as talking to more people in public, talking to more strangers in public, just getting your confidence up with being visible to other people.
Can I just interrupt this strategy process for a minute? Because a lot of the things that we hear as well is this: I'm not confident enough, or I don't have confidence, or I'm an introvert, I shouldn't be doing that. But I know loads of introverts who are still confident. You know, they can switch it on. Like, do you find that as well? Like, people have this misconception of what extrovert introvert actually is.
Oh yeah, all the time. Because I have to admit, I'm very much a lone wolf. Like, I like my alone time. But then I'm an actor. So there's definitely two sides, and I'm quite comfortable in situations like this. But in terms of like actual social life, like, God, no, I get nervous in social settings sometimes. Like, it's very gray with that. Like, you are as confident as you believe you are. But yeah, so like normalizing all of it, really, normalizing everything that you want, and that can only happen with built-in habits, and digging into belief system, doing all of that work. And when I say that work, I work with my clients on going back to their subconscious and going, okay, what is actually ticking on there? Because a lot of the time when you're saying that you don't like being seen, or you don't like being visible, there's another belief ticking on there. It's actually that you don't believe you're worthy of being seen, or you don't, so we work together a lot on that to help with that step. And then the next step, this is a 4-step process. The next step would be action it, because you can't get anywhere if you don't put the action in. So that is the showing up part. That is once you've, decided where you're going, you've got the belief system down, that's when you start showing up. And that step becomes very easy because you've got the confidence. And so rather than thinking like before, oh, I need to be on TikTok, or I need to be on this platform, you're just like, do you know what? No, I want to be, because I choose to be, because I know that I'm going to do well there, right? So it's a completely different energy. And then the final step is trust it. Trust the process, because also I see it in my clients, see it in a lot of other people. You'll start showing up, and then the leads won't come in, or you won't get the followers straight away, and then you give up. And this is an ongoing process. Just how I've started my TikTok by saying, look at me, I'm a 30-year-old actress and I'm starting again. Let's see where I end up. That's an ongoing process. A brand is an ongoing process. So you can't just expect overnight you can go viral overnight. We can talk about why that actually can be quite detrimental, but you can, but this is a process that you get to fall in love with. Like, it's happening it's real time, which is why I'm actually very passionate about building my brand as an actor in real time whilst I coach my clients over on LinkedIn, because I'm literally practicing what I preach. I'm showing them that I'm building a brand in a completely different area. A lot of my clients are entrepreneurs in all kinds of sectors, like finance and sports brands. Like, they're all over the place, and a lot of them don't ever think about the entertainment industry, and I'm doing it there so that I can show them anybody can do it, and we're doing it at the same time, we're doing it together. So yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling.
Oh no, you're not. No, this is all that. I'm like tractor beam in. Like I'm honed into this because I find this absolutely fascinating because I even have been through that journey. You know, like of, you know, sort of like, well, what is my identity? How do I show up online? And which parts of me do I share? And what's authentic, what's not, and all that kind of stuff. And I think the main thing that sort of like came to me when I was kind of like going through this, and still am going through it, is this fear factor. It's fear of being judged, fear of messing up, and, you know, likely you probably, I would, you know, you have an opinion on that, but it's how does someone overcome fear? Like I see Ant Middleton talk about it all the time, you know, the SAS guy.
Yeah.
And he has a really good book about it. I think he calls it the fear bubble, but I'm really interested in how, you know, people like yourself, as someone who coaches, how do you get people to try and, or at least not get them, but facilitate them to get over that fear?
It's the thing is with fear is that it's always going to be there. So you can't get rid of it. So really it's accepting that, and rather than thinking, oh, how can I get rid of this thing from my life? It's going, how can I hold my hands with this thing and actually just move through life in a smoother way with it? Because every new level that you get to in your life, there's going to be fear. You know, I started off in the industry auditioning and got my first job, and then I was around celebrities, and that was scary because I was like, oh God, these are people that have done loads of things. That was the next step in my career. And now I'm talking to people very high up in business. That was scary. That's the next step in my career. You know, the fear is never going to leave. So it really is almost looking at it in a way and going, we're working on this together. We're just moving through life together, and I can either keep fighting with it or sort of embrace it and go, every time I'm feeling fear, it's a good thing because it means that I'm stepping into a next level of myself. You know,
it's really interesting. It's leaning into it.
Yeah.
While you were telling me about that, I was thinking of, I don't know if you've seen the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, John Nash was schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And he was constantly seeing those characters around him, and he eventually came to the realization that they're not real.
Yeah.
But he just lived life knowing that they were there, and he just ignored it. But this is a life that I have to live with them being there, watching, never aging, which is annoying. But yeah, like that idea of holding hands with it, just knowing that it's there, embracing that it's there, leaning into it. I really like that. I think that doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think. Yeah,
because I think that a lot of the time we can move through life like fighting with things, and it's such a waste of energy. Like, just acceptance is such a huge piece in all of this. Like, you know, it's accepting that things might feel a bit icky. It's accepting that things might be a bit hard. It's accepting that you're going to have to put a bit of energy into it and moving with it, you know? And I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of this sort of mindset of, this is hard. I'm going to complain about it because it's really hard, or I don't want to do that, or that's not for me. But then, as I say, wanting something, if you want it, accept that it's hard and go and get it. You know, if you want to be known by masses of people for the sake of your business and build a strong audience up with a big personal brand, accept that you will have to be seen, accept that there's going to be time that goes into that, and get excited by it.
I love that. It's what is life generally if it's not like challenging and hard and, you know, exciting, and that it's like they say, it's like choose your hard kind of thing. It's totally. Like, you know, I think some people look at like the idea of personal brand as a necessity, and the general sort of wave in business now seems to be that if you don't have a personal brand, or if you aren't showing up as the founder or as the business owner, then you're kind of going to get left behind. And I'd love to maybe touch on your thoughts with AI and just see what you think about that. But because Hollywood, apparently, they reckon that's going to be shaken up because of it. But yeah, I'm interested to know your thoughts on AI.
Do you know, it's funny that you bring this up, because this is another one that where I just hear so many people complaining, and I just think, do you know what? It's like any big innovation in life, you know, it's like when the internet came out, or, you know, things change, the world changes, and either you can complain about it, or you and watch the train as it rolls away, or you can get on the train, you know, like, and I'm very much in the mindset of someone that's like, I'm not going to sit here and complain, because it's never going to change the things that are happening. I'm going to move with it, adapt with it, see how I can make the best out of this situation, you know, and try and shift a few of my beliefs along the way as well, because AI, I mean, it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be this big thing that is killing the, let's say, entertainment industry. It doesn't have to be. Let's try and work with it. Let's try and work with the innovation rather than fighting something that is clearly changing in the world right now. You know, that's where my mindset is on this, because, as I say, I'm just very much, I'm not going to waste my energy. I don't have time to waste on these things. It's that, you know, I don't have this energy to waste. Like, I'm building too many things in my life. I'm not going to fight something when you could just be moving with it. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it, I guess.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts, I have many. I'm excited by it. Like, ultimately, I think AI is going to be, and is, just this huge behemoth of a technological advancement. But I don't believe it's going to take jobs as such. I think it's going to take away jobs that we don't need to do anymore. It's going to automate a lot of things. It's going to make things more efficient. And I think the only people that are genuinely going to be left behind are people who don't use it. You know, people are going to choose someone who is, well versed in AI over someone who isn't. And how do you use AI in your everyday life or in your work? But it's at the end of the day, it's a general purpose technology. You know, it's something that things are going to be built onto or within, and it's going to run through like water, like electricity. That you know, that kind of thing. Things are going to be built onto it and through it. And I guess how do you envisage people building a personal brand, or you know, how can people do that in the age of AI?
Well. There's a lot of this chat on LinkedIn, actually, because there's a lot of AI posts that have been drafted, or there's a lot of AI comments. Oh my gosh, those comments, my God.
Thank you, Jessica, for letting us know about the strategy of good energy. It's clearly, you know, etc.,
etc. Repeat my post for me, thanks. And listen, and it's so obvious, and it's just, and again, everything's a strategy. Like, use AI to be efficient, but you're not using it very well. That's the thing. That, as you just said, it's like, how well do you use it? Because personally, I'm in love with ChatGPT. Me and ChatGPT have a relationship going on right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am in love with the efficiency, right? Because it does make things efficient for me, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to show up and just be ChatGPT. I'm Jess. Do you know what I mean? So it's working with it, like I said. And I think that there's too many people that are just sort of too many lazy people, just sort of going, okay, well, fine, it'll do my whole thing for me. That's not what it's there for. So yeah, it's working with it, and it's so obvious when you're doing those LinkedIn AI comments. It kills your brand. And here's another thing about personal branding, and it's why I said the clarity piece is so important. If you're showing up without having done the mindset work or laying a foundation for what it is that you want, or you know, being strategic about it, you can be showing up with these things thinking, oh, it's the most efficient thing to do, or it's the best thing to do. And then a couple of months have all sorts of people talking about, oh God, they're a bit annoying, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. You've got to be careful with building a brand as well, because if you don't have that behind that foundation, you can be becoming known for the wrong reasons. So yeah, because I had it very recently. Like, you know, I was on a sales call and the woman I was on the sales call with, she just said, I've come to you, Jess, because you just seem like a human being online. And I was like, well, yeah, it's because I am.
It's like a future compliment,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's like, oh, you're so human.
Yeah, literally.
Right?
And she was just like, and so that's why I want to work with you. And she said, I'm just so sick of people posting the same things. And I think that this is where people have got personal branding a little skewed, because it's not just about posting on LinkedIn. It's about everything you're doing in life. I said to her, what have you got going on at the moment? She said, I've got a launch party I'm doing for the launch of this new thing in the business. And it's like, how exciting. Create content around it. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to post. A
lot of the content creators that I speak to, they say it's all documentation.
Yeah.
Just go do some interesting stuff. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't think it is, mm-hmm. someone might do. And document it. Was there a process there? What did you learn? Who did you meet? You know, what are you building as a part of it? You know, that whole thing, documentation, I think, or journaling, as you know, I think it's widely known. Journaling is so powerful. Like, and I think maybe potentially people looking at a personal brand as like, just like you are, it's almost like just an ongoing journal.
Yeah, no, totally. And actually it brings up a really good point about another sort of block that I find in a lot of people jumping on these calls with me, or just in general having chats, is that people say either I don't want to, I'm not used to being in the limelight, or they say I have nothing interesting to say. I always get this, and I just think, my gosh, sometimes I'm rambling about the most like ridiculous things, and it's still hitting. It's still connecting with certain people that it needs to connect to. So again, like just sharing your story, like how I say I'm showing up on TikTok. I've got this series, day 1, day 2. Sometimes I'm showing up and I'm like, I don't know what to say. This is all I've done with my day is sit on LinkedIn at the moment. But people want to know about your life. People are nosy in that way. So you are way more interesting than you think you are.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find that all the time actually with people. Like there was a business owner I was working with last year, and one of his stories was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking, where he was at the Hillsborough disaster. He was in the ground when that was going on, and as much as, you know, it's obviously heartbreaking, but that's a really key integral, you know, it's an integral story for who he became today. And it was, you know, you should be talking about that more, talk about that, because that's shaped who you are. And, you know, people want to sort of like hold that back a little bit because it's horrible, that kind of thing. But him actually going out and talking about it now, and I see him do it, and it's amazing. It's like, it's amazing to hear him talk about it and how it shaped him. And
I had a whole brand when I said I had a whole brand. I mean, it's me. It's always been a personal brand. But when I first started coaching and I was really showing up about the mindset side of things, and again, it was a journey because I was healing. I was literally healing myself at the time, and I was showing up talking about it. You know, the reason I jumped into that was because I went through the most terrible heartbreak. And listen, that's a universal experience. Most people have gone through some sort of heartbreak or grief or loss. And, you know, me just showing up and actually, again, being vulnerable enough to talk about that as the catalyst for the journey that I was on, the amount of people that resonated and they wanted to join me on the journey. And, you know, and since the journey has evolved and pivoted and grown, but I think that this is how today it comes very naturally to me as well to build a brand, because I've sort of been doing it for near enough like 7 years of my life unknowingly, just by sharing a story. And that's all it is. So whilst we do sit here actually and say, oh, there's strategy and all this, really that's all it is. It's just sharing your story, because the guy you're speaking about, that's very personal to him. Not everyone will have been there. That's very personal to him. But the lessons and the emotion and the experience, there's things in there that will be universal and people will connect. So it's that's really all it is, telling your story.
So many good stories going to waste, right?
Yeah. Literally.
It's a shame. It's such a shame. And I think about, my life and some of the things that I could share. But it's coming back to this idea of, authentically showing up. And it's like, it's not because I'm not telling you everything about me. I don't want to tell you about that.
Yeah.
Because that's private. That's for family. That's for friends.
Totally.
That's for my therapist.
This is where the strategy piece comes in. So when people ask, what is the strategy behind the brand? The strategy is get to know yourself well enough so that you know what you want to share, what is going to be, useful to share. Because that's the other thing. Like, not everybody wants to know about every little thing in your life. But there are certain bits that will resonate with people. And, again, let's use the example of my brand as an actor. I share my journey of an actor on there. If I was living with a chronic illness, I wouldn't necessarily be showing up talking about the chronic illness. It's still a part of me, it's still a part of my life, but I'm not going to keep banging on about it because that's not my brand. I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known as an actor. So I'm going to use stories of my life. I'm going to sprinkle that in, but the main trajectory and the vision is how to be an actor. I want to be known as an actor. So again, as an entrepreneur, you look at your life, you go, oh, there's sprinkles of this, there's sprinkles of that. But the main vision is I want to be a, 8-figure entrepreneur. That's what I want. That's where you channel your energy, and everything else gets sprinkled in alongside it. If you don't have that vision and that strategy, just becomes a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
People don't know who you are.
For sure. And I think because for a lot of people, they've had many lives. They've been an entrepreneur. They've been, and I think about footballers. They've spent, their formative years from like 8 years old all the way up to 35 if they're lucky, playing football, and then they need a new life. And I think of Gary Neville. I think of Paul Scholes, Ryan, not Ryan Reynolds, but you go into that sort of footballing world and how they've kind of transformed their personal image, their personal brand, because they're having to live a new life. It's footballing's over. Now I'm going to go build, a group of hotels and football clubs and all that kind of stuff. And it's that transition, but you have, and I've only really recently sort of discovered this really through a friend of mine who I've been working with, a set of core stories. Yeah. You have the core stories that align to where you're going or what you're looking to achieve. And I guess looking at a younger version of myself that, it'd be nice to have discovered that a bit earlier. But, what's your advice to young people who want to start building a brand? Because it is quite important. Yeah,
no, totally. I think, again, the really important thing to say here is that you get to pivot and you get to change and you get to evolve.
It's your story,
and
right?
It's your story. This is the thing, you're writing it. You said that, I wish I'd learned these things before, but that's part of maturing and growing up, and that's part of the journey, as cliche as it sounds. But it's actually just that knowingness that you're allowed to pivot is very important, because I think it also holds people back from showing up, because they think, oh, but what if, and I've had clients on calls say this to me, oh, but what if maybe that's not the right direction to go down, and then what happens if, this and that. And the thing is, I built a brand up for myself as a coach, very strong brand, and this was actually over on Instagram, so not even on LinkedIn. This was years ago, and my business was doing very well. I then turned around and I went, hang on a sec, I don't want to be known as a coach. I want to be known as an actor. So what have I done this year? I've said to myself, fine, got on TikTok, I'm an actor. This is my identity. Now I have a whole audience, nearly 17,000 people who are like, Jess Paul, actor, right? Things evolve, things change. You can direct your story, you can write your story in whatever way you want to write it. That is part of it. And it's a strategy, because it's you know, I've got 2 brands essentially that I'm running right now. I've got my LinkedIn, which is where you found me, where I'm showing up, I'm talking about branding, I'm talking about mindset, I'm talking about selling yourself. People know me as an entrepreneur over there. Then I'm on TikTok, and it's the complete opposite.
You're multifaceted.
I'm multifaceted.
You're multi-rolled, and it's great.
Yeah, and I say, like, I'm showing up on TikTok lives at the moment. That's a new thing that I'm doing, and it's very interesting. And I'm on these TikTok lives, and I'm thinking, you know, some people have literally seen me on LinkedIn, and they're like, "Oh, you're Jess Paul from LinkedIn. Oh, can you tell me about personal branding?" And I sit on those lives and I say, "That's for LinkedIn. If you want that information, go and follow me on LinkedIn. Yeah. If not, this is where I'm going to talk about my acting career." And it's fascinating to me, actually, because it's going on in real time. Like, I'm learning every day myself. But it's fascinating to me because I can be everything. I've realized this year that I can be everything I want to be. I don't have to put myself in a box. And I think that, you know what? There's far too many talented, multifaceted entrepreneurs and people out here in the world who think that they have to be in a box, and you 100% don't.
I love that. I think that's really good advice for anybody listening. You know, people, not boxing yourself in, not putting yourself into a bucket. And yeah, I really like the channel relevancy as well. You know, you clearly have thought about where and who you are on each one of these platforms because of the audience that's on it, and that's a big takeaway. We're kind of coming to the end. What's exciting you right now? What is getting you going? Whether it be work, personal, you know, again, authentically, you can choose what you tell me. So choose what the audience wants to hear, needs to hear. But like, yeah, what's exciting you at the moment? Like, how are you growing?
Honestly, it's things like this, right? Because like I said before, I'm passionate about growing a brand also offline as well. And it's really nice to be in person and to have these chats and to talk about life. But I would say right now, currently in my life, I'm at a point where, so literally I've only just got back from London. I've been filming in London with my writing partner, Noah. We've written a sitcom, and we think it's hilarious. We hope that other people do too. But this is the reason we've done we've written a load of sketches, we've filmed them all, and we're going to be putting them on TikTok as a little series to promote the show. Because again, putting my personal branding head on as a coach, I got back in touch with Noah, and I said to him this year, we've written this show. It's been sitting in the background, sitting like collecting dust for years. Why don't we just show the world what we can do? So that's what I'm doing this year. This is why I am on TikTok. This is why I'm building as an actor. And it's wonderful because what I'm getting to do at the moment, because I'm also going to LA in 2 weeks' time and spending 3 months out there.
That's exciting.
Really exciting. What I'm getting to do now is work with fantastic entrepreneurs. Like, I'm working with some really amazing people, helping them, but also fulfilling my purpose and my dream. And so I feel so grateful right now to be able to do that. So I say the thing that's like exciting me most is just that I'm getting to do the thing that lights me up. And yeah, I'm not famous yet. But I get to like
live to a few people.
Well,
for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I'm getting to show my creativity in my own way. And as we've just said, be strategic about it. Like, there's always a strategy. There's always a strategy.
And you get to.
And I get to do it.
I think that's my biggest takeaway from today, actually, is like, you get to do it.
Yeah.
This is an incredible time. You have all these opportunities in front of you, and you get to do these things.
So many opportunities.
It's crazy, isn't it?
The opportunities are endless. Like, this digital age that we live in now, the fact that, as I said, I'm sitting on these lives, I don't know who's on these TikTok lives. You could have like Hollywood directors, big, famous directors randomly scrolling through TikTok. Everybody has it. They could be scrolling through, I'm going to give that girl a follow. Oh, maybe I'll cast her in something. You just don't know. And like, same with entrepreneurs. You just don't know who is watching. No. So take the opportunities. Yeah.
Jess, this has been amazing. Before you go, though, just a couple of quick fire questions.
Oh gosh, the quick.
You don't know what's coming. We haven't discussed this previously, but they're not that exciting. It's for my own sort of like what I want to. Favorite movie?
Oh no, I get so overwhelmed with stuff like questions like this.
I've proper put you on the spot here, haven't I?
No, really. Do you know what? I get these questions all the time on these TikTok lives. People like specifically, what's your favorite film? What's your favorite TV show? And I literally sit there like, I don't know. I've gone into freeze mode. I literally can't answer it. I don't know. There's too many.
Fair enough. Are you reading anything at the moment?
Napoleon Hill. Obviously, he wrote Think and Grow Rich. You might have read that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people have read that. But it is not that. It is... he has a book where he's talking to the devil. And I can't remember the name of it. I don't know what is wrong with my brain with these questions. I told you I wasn't going to ace these quick fire questions.
I told you. You did warn me.
I did warn you. Outwitting the devil.
Thanks, Joe. Cheers for that. He's like our Jamie. He's like our Rogan's Jamie.
I love that so much. Yes, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Fantastic book. Honestly, fantastic book. Like it's one of them that sticks with you. Like so he's having a conversation with the devil, and it's just timeless. Like the things that he's talking about. Basically, it's a lot to do with fear. It's a lot to do with holding your hands with that fear and what that all means. So yeah, definitely recommend that book.
Love it. And where can people find you? Obviously, we've kind of discussed where you are, but specific handles and things like that. Like, how can people get in touch with you?
This is an easier question. I can answer.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So, where can people find me? On LinkedIn, just my name, Jessica Paul. TikTok, Jessica. My handle is at Jessica Paul X because they didn't have my name. So yeah, just my name really that you can find me on. Instagram is not a place that I show up a lot on. It's very much like personal, but you can still find me on there. So yeah, that's
amazing.
That's it.
Thank you so much for this, and you've come a long way to have this conversation. So I'm really appreciative.
No,
and
thank you.
Yeah. Look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here.
Thank you.